Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this special edition episode of Double Barrel Gaming Presents the Future of Xbox. And of course, what better time to have a Future of Xbox show than this week? This week, I've said it before and I'll say it again, is our Christmas. If you are an Xbox fan, this is the show of shows that we have been waiting for. And on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down some key points to the future of the Xbox platform and what we think is in fact going to happen. And of course, a part of those four main points of contention will include the power of the Xbox Series X, the services on the platform, the first, second, and third party support regarding games, and lastly, how Phil Spencer is putting us at the center of it all. And I want to thank everyone being here. We already have a ton of people, which is awesome. And again, I'm just very happy to know that there is an audience here that appreciates the work that goes into these shows, and that obviously you are here and because you're excited like me, like everybody on this panel. And speaking of the panel, I could not do this show without having this outrageous panel packed with superstars. So let's get into the introductions first. Now, you've heard me call him Superman. Obviously, his gaming forte is second to none. You know him as Dreadpool. I know him as Brother. Dreadpool, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. As you know, I just made it here in the nick of time, so that really came in handy. So yeah, I'm excited for today. I can't wait to actually this whole week, everything that you've got going on this whole week.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's a great week for Xbox. It is a great week for gaming, and more importantly, it's going to be an even more extreme week for Double Barrel Gaming, simply because I have loaded the chambers to the max. I'm doing I've said this. We had primetime gaming to start off the week last night, which we had over 500 people watching live, which is amazing, and
your additional podcast member.
Yes, that's right. Middle-aged gamer guy. You know him as AKA Mag for short. He has officially joined the Primetime Gaming crew on Monday evenings. Obviously, if you heard him on Noof's show, Gaming After Dark last week, I had a chance to talk with Mag and get him on the show. And then obviously he did so well. And I started getting messages while the show was going on live about getting him to be a regular panel member. And I threw it out there. I figured, what the heck was, if you don't take the shot, you'll never know. And he agreed to be a panel member on a weekly basis, which is a big deal because I think he's going to bring a tremendous amount of gaming knowledge to that show each and every week. And of course, tomorrow we will be doing the predictions Xbox games showcase prediction show. And then Thursday is where we get really busy. I will be a guest on the Iron Lords podcast pre and post show. I'm doing something in the afternoon that I can't really speak about, but I will be making the announcement Thursday morning. It is tremendous. It is Xbox related, and it is a message that I cannot let the people know until July 23rd, the morning of. So it is going to be a big deal for the channel. And I think the community at large is not only going to be impressed, but I think you're going to really enjoy what we're bringing to the table that afternoon. And of course, 8 p.m. that evening, my entire crew from the Xbox Factor podcast will be meeting along with several others. And Dreadpool, you are a part of that program. We'll be breaking down everything that happened on Thursday afternoon, and it is going to be fun. And of course, Friday mornings, Breakfast with Boom. So there is your programming update. 5 live shows, including a few extras. So it is going to be a busy week. But you know what? A week that I could not ask for. If I was, if I couldn't even imagine it. I love working with this community. I love working with the people on this panel and plenty of others that are going to be with me throughout the week. And this is a fun time. So let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him as the pizza-loving, calzone-seeking gentleman all the way from Florida that is still sinking, sadly enough to admit. Please welcome one of the Primetime Gaming panel members and founders, Clowns. What's going on, dude?
Hey, what's up, Boom? Thanks for having me on the show, man. It's going to be a great show. Glad to see VJ, Mojo, and Dreadpool, my local Florida buddy, who has to get into some calzones and pizza around here somewhere, right?
Yep.
I don't know. The water's not good in Florida, so I don't think you're ever going to get really good pizza or calzones. I'm sorry.
we ship it down here.
Yeah, you got to ship the water from New York. Absolutely, absolutely. But listen, Clowns, it's great to have you a part of today's program. Let's continue on now. He's been on the show several times. He's actually recovering from a very serious thing. The fact that he's even here is still a testament to how much he enjoys podcasting, how much he has love for this community, and more importantly, how much he has love for gaming. Please welcome back Mojo Blues.
Hey, everybody, and thanks, Boom, for having me. When I seen you were doing 5 shows, I'm like, yeah, I got to get in on that. That's just too many shows not to volunteer my services for, because I usually just do my one show that I do a week, and but I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's too big of an event coming up not to get in and try to get my 2 cents in here or there.
Well, it's great to have you a part of the show. Really glad that you're able to make it, and of course, best wishes on you recovering. But again, it's great to have you a part of the show, and I think you're going to bring some serious gaming knowledge to this program. And last and no way least, he's rather new to the community, but I think he's making strides, in my personal opinion. He has over 25 years of gaming knowledge and experience in both retail and in development. You heard him and his voice for the first time on last week's Primetime Gaming, making his second debut on Double Barrel Gaming Presents. Please welcome VJ. What's going on, dude?
Oh, hey, Boom. How you doing? Yeah, thanks again for having me on again. I'm surprised I got a return invite, but it's really appreciated. And I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat and everybody in the panel. And Boom, please take it away.
Well, yeah, thanks for being here, dude. And obviously, you want to get your feet wet, and obviously the way to do it is just to do some podcasting. And again, this is the big week. This is an exciting week, and we're going to start breaking it down right now. Now, obviously, the first topic of the conversation is going to be how Microsoft has retained the power crown that they took from Sony with the release of the Xbox One X in 2017, and it appears, based on all the numbers and everyone that has seen and talked about the system running, it is the most powerful console. And as a matter of fact, I would dare say that it probably is going to rival a significant percentage of PCs that are out there, and that's a big deal. Now, we don't know price. We don't know release date, and we don't know when the pre-orders are going to come. Those are going to probably come in August. There's an August show, apparently. Again, take that with a grain of salt. There's no official notification, but supposedly in August there's going to be a hardware and services show, and those 3 questions are supposedly going to be answered. But the biggest difference with the incoming generation is that the leadership has one goal, and that's to make Xbox the best place to play. And the first way to do that is to make sure that the Series X was and is the most powerful console, the most technically advanced, and the best one on the market. And they've done that. And when I say they, I'm talking about Phil Spencer and the many talented people at Redmond. And we are in for a real treat based on what we know. Now, having the power isn't enough. And it's one of the Achilles heels of the Xbox One era that was the messaging around the gaming console, that it was positioned to be a TV sports box. And with the transparency of Jason Ronald, who is the director of programming and the lead for the Series Xbox Series X, we know for a fact that it is, in fact, going to be the most powerful box. But it's going to do things that Sony's PlayStation 5 cannot do. And in a recent barrage of articles from Jason Ronald, there's no shortage of incredible information that basically spells out what true power looks like. And understandably, it is not it is not to be messed with. It is something that we have been asking for. They have been listening. We understand that the 1080p makes you a better gamer situation is something that ruined Microsoft, potentially cost them the generation. Besides this is how you share games, and the right hand not knowing what the left hand was doing. But that's in the past. That was 2013. We are now in 2020, 7 years later, and that big ship has been turned around by Phil Spencer, who, of course, is the lead dog. And here is what we know about the inside of the actual Xbox Series X. And I'm just going to break it down, and we're going to get into the panel's opinions on it. We know that there are 12 teraflops of raw RDNA 2 GPU power, right? It's powered by an 8-core AMD Zen 2 processor. It's also levied with the 7-nanometer enhanced chip, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6. It has a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD with the expandable 1 terabyte option, which that's super important. Its target performance, folks, is 4K 60 standard, and of course up to 120 FPS. And we know that the first game that's going to be officially targeting 120 frames per second is Dirt 5, which is probably why we're not going to get Forza Motorsport 8 at launch. Like I think they're talking February, and that makes perfect sense. It has hardware accelerated DirectX 12 Ultimate with ray tracing, and it also sports a bold and unique design that will run whisper quiet, and that is a big deal. Brand new capabilities with the VRS, and that's short for the variable rate shading. The groundbreaking Xbox Velocity architecture, which is going to rival Sony's SSD, and that's a big deal. Auto low latency mode, which is abbreviated as the ALLM, and dynamic latency input DLI, and that's a big deal. It also has a dedicated audio chip for the most advanced sound ever on a home console. Now, folks, when saying it sounds ridiculous, but they figured a way to get it into this box, and it's going to be pretty amazing if we're paying $500. Now, granted, everybody would love to believe that it's going to be $400. I'm still in the camp of a $500 price tag, but with everything you're getting, my God, it's going to be well worth the $499.99 if that's what the price turns out to be. Now, the list of advancements we know rival the PlayStation 5, and why the Series X is in fact the most powerful console. And I'll say this, with Phil Spencer saying that Sony would not trump them on power, or on the power narrative, I should say, seeing it come to fruition makes me confident that we're getting a huge bang for our buck come fall of 2020. Now, here is where I bring the panel and, of course, the rest of the chat into the conversation. I have to just catch up with some of these super chats before I lose them, and there are quite a few. First of all, Star Hunter 29 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Thank you doing all week podcast. I'll be working during the big event, but I'll be catching it here. Enjoy, gentlemen." Oh man, dude, I'm sorry to hear you're going to be working during the event, but you stay tuned to us, brother. We're going to keep you up to date. D Duplicant drops a $2 super chat. Thank you for being here, dude. He says, will you guys be here? I think he meant to say, will you guys be here all week? Yes, we will. And excited for the 23rd. Yes, we are certainly excited, my brother. And let's see, a few other ones came in. Oh man, our very good friend and very generous friend of the show, Sin Vendetta, drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat. He says this: "Hey, Boom, thank you for the shout out on yesterday's show when referring to the Demon Soul remake. Every time I hear a Souls game, I think of you, dude. So of course I'm going to give you a shout out." He says, "Normally with the shows that you do in the afternoon, evening, I usually can't watch live." Well, I'm sorry for that, dude, but you really have been a big supporter, and thank you so much as always. And he drops another $5 super chat. "Thank you, brother." He says, "But I always make sure that I listen to this show the next morning, but thank you again." Well, no, thank you, dude. Super appreciate what you do. But here's where I bring the panel into the conversation. And I'm interested to know, and I'll start with Clowns. Clowns, you obviously run Four Guys with Quarters. You have a lot of industry insider connections, and you have been a fan of Xbox for quite some time. So you've seen the peaks and valleys that Microsoft, has had over the last, I don't know, 10 years, let's say. They went from being the GOAT with the 360 to being the, not the GOAT with the Xbox One. And it seems like they might be the GOAT once again. I'm interested to know, how confident are you that Microsoft went the extra mile when it came to design, power, and performance of the Series X?
See, this is where I think it's going to get really interesting and good for Xbox and Phil Spencer. After speaking to a lot of those guys up at Redmond that I know a little bit pretty well, a lot of them like PC gaming too, right? So why not take the best powerful parts that you can get and stick it in a console to make that console the most powerful console that you can produce, to entice your fans to be really excited for something new, fresh, and something that could blow away the competition. And I think that's exactly what they did with the Series X. I think they took all that passion that they have for gaming, put that into the Series X, and said, here, we made a fantastic console, and you're going to love this thing. It's going to be able to play things that you never dreamed of. It's going to give new insights into video games, better detail, bigger levels, bigger maps, brighter colors, everything's going to be in this box, and it's going to look good when it comes on Xbox. That's how I feel about it. And I know that Phil is personally a gamer, and he loves gaming. He always has. And that passion is in that Series X right there. That is like his heart and his passion for all the fans to enjoy.
Yes. You know what? I don't think, it's funny you should say that, Clowns, because we know that without even giving it a second thought, that Phil at his core, yes, he's a businessman. Yes, he's sitting on the right side of Satya Nadella, the head of Microsoft. Yes, his big opinions and his visions matter. But at his core, at the end of the day, even though he wears a suit, even though he's rubbing elbows with people that are making more zeros than we'll ever see in our lifetime, he's still a gamer, and he understands that the choices that he makes are important, but not just to him and the company, but the millions of people that are fans of said company. And to see how passionate he is when he talks about everything that they have put into this console, it makes me believe that we are incorporated into this long-term plan more so than just being a number or a consumer that bought it. And I love that about him. And I think everything that you said is spot on. But let's bring Dreadpool into conversation. Dread, look, we have been hearing, even before we got a chance to see what this box looked like, that Microsoft was not cutting any corners. They weren't playing any games. They were dead serious. And many people, including the gaming media, scoffed at Phil Spencer when they said that exact quote, Sony, that Microsoft would not be out of position when it came to power and price. Now, the price point we don't know yet, but it tells me that we're in for a real treat, and they're going to be aggressive. And when they're aggressive, you take from the champion. And right now, even though they've sold 115 million consoles, they're teetering. They're on the ropes. And if you want to challenge me on that, you go right ahead. That's fine. You want to say, boom, you're out of your mind. That's fine. But you can't say with confidence that Sony is the same Sony they once were, because they're not. I'm sorry. If you want to believe that, that's on you. That's not what I believe. And this is not the same Microsoft they once were. And they've proven that by being transparent. For you personally, as someone that's going to be a day one console owner, the X more specifically, how impressed are you with Jason Ronald and that team's design, and the fact that this is confirmed as being the next generation place to play because it's so powerful?
All right. Here's what I'm going to go with: the car analogy. Germany has like the greatest sports cars. You got BMW, you got Porsche. It's on the Nuremberg, and it's always Porsche that's number one there, right? What does Nissan do? They come out with Godzilla, okay, the GTR.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's a V6 twin turboed with computer everything, okay? So the computer is measuring the wheel speed and the velocity of everything, okay? So just the complete package, and it blows the Porsche out of the water. Okay, on the Nuremberg. Okay, so when you look at that, what did they do? They put all the technology together. So it's not just one thing. Okay, it's not the turbos, it's not the motor, it's not this, it's not that. It's everything together.
Yes.
And this is what's going on with the Xbox. The Xbox Series X is America's Godzilla. Okay, so when you look at what Sony's doing, ever since we've had the PlayStation, right? The very first PlayStation, they've been aggressive, okay? And when they've been going after Nintendo, you know, tooth and nail, putting them down, and Nintendo had nothing to show, you know what I mean? And they've been doing this whole time. You know, Microsoft, you know, when they came out in 2013, they showed us up, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, okay, you got something, we got something better. They've been doing it this whole generation up until this past year.
Yes.
You know, and this past year, they just it's not even like they're fumbling over themselves. They just haven't even stepped out the door. You know, so the stuff that they're doing, it's like they're peeking behind the curtain, and you can see what's going on, but you don't know nothing. You really don't know what's going on. But with the Xbox, you know, you see all this stuff. You know, Jason Ronald's doing his little tour of explaining what each of these facets are going. Phil Spencer's doing his tour also, you know, explaining about the facets in their interviews. They're talking about the xCloud and how it's integrated with the console. Okay, so, you know, and it's a direct question and an answer about the from Ryan McCaffrey to Phil about the xCloud, and you can. It's going to be to that point where, yet again, when you day one, if you buy a disc, you can start streaming that game when you pop that disc in.
Yes.
Until it's loaded. Okay. That's amazing. You know what I mean? Before we used to play off the disc before, and then we had to load the disc on there so we could still play, but you still had to wait for that. And that's how we are. This is from the 360 era. Now we're in the Xbox One era, and we're still doing this with loading the disc, and we still have to download everything, but yet we can't play the game. You know, then they started doing the what was it? The fast
quick,
start?
The quick resume.
No, the fast start, where you can get so much of the game loaded, and then you can start playing. Yes. So they're starting to do that in the Xbox One era. Well, what do you think is going to happen with the Series X era? Okay, they're doing that. Okay, so it's a lot of everything. Everything that you've listed is a piece of the puzzle. Okay, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't see. They're touting teraflops. Okay, well, that's great. You can have all the teraflops you want. You know, they're touting this much memory. They're touting, you know, the SSD. Well, it's great, but if you don't apply it to anything, it means nothing. Okay, so the whole thing together, when you have the auto low latency that's going to be on your controller, you're gonna take off milliseconds off of your reaction time. Okay, so how many times you're like, oh, it's the TV? I mean, I had the same thing happen last 2 weeks ago on the game community game night, where I was apparently, I guess when I was streaming, it was slowing me down, because that's why I had to sit there and backtrack. I was streaming and playing with everybody. I'd shoot somebody down, and by the time I realized I was getting hit, I'd spin around and I was already dead. You know what I mean? So I was already behind, and it was like, what's going on? Why am I so slow? You know, not saying that I'm the greatest, but you know, I can hold up my own for a little bit. But at the same time, it was like I was getting owned because I was slower in reacting. Well, why was that? Well, it was because of many factors. And this is the same thing. They're going to eliminate all this stuff because of many factors.
Yes.
You know, when you can load up a game, there was a couple games that I remember somebody was playing, and when they went from the X to the S, they didn't realize that there was a load screen, because the X was still loading faster information. So when they went from that to the other, and they were like, well, wait a second. Same thing happens when you have an SSD or an NVMe hooked up.
Yep.
You minimize all that stuff. You have less time waiting, more time playing. Now, when you, yet again, because I have the experience in this with the NVMe on an Xbox One X, there are still limitations where the game design still holds you back. When you play Call of Duty, you don't go in right away. You hold up and wait. Even though I'm pretty much already loaded, I'm not there. They can't hide anything from me because they're hiding it from everybody. You know, so certain games I might be in before you, and there's other games we all go in together. So it doesn't matter. There's no advantage over the other, right? Because I mean, when you start at one, it's start at go. That's when you go, you know, so they wait for everybody. But the longer that it takes for everybody to wait, the longer you sit there for everybody, you know. So the slowest component is how fast you are. All this stuff is fast. You got the machine learning capability that's doing everything. You have the encryption, right? So when you go from the encryption on the CPU, they have a separate processor that does decryption. Okay, so you're not bogging down the CPU again for the decryption to bring it back to your 4K or whatever this display that you need. So you're able to move tinier chunks compact across and then reassemble them the proper way. So there's so much stuff going on together as a whole unit. You know, think of it as the army marching. You got one idiot that can't keep in step. You see it like a sore thumb. You know, when you got everybody's keeping in step, spinning the rifles, doing drills, it's immaculate. And this is how this is. This is the American Godzilla.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, listen, there is a lot to be said about what Microsoft has done with this console. You know, the wording future proofing has been thrown around because, listen, folks, you know, the reality is that PC, we like, and I say it as a joke, like the PC master race. But the reality is that master race that everyone is always touting, that talks about it, that you know, they're only about 15%, and I could be overextending here. You know, there is only 15% of the entire PC community that has rigs that are $3,000 or more. I'm telling you for an absolute fact that is the number, and it's probably lower than that. It could be even 10%, but I'm going to highball it and give credit where it may not even be due, and say 15% have these $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 rigs with fans and lights and they levitate when they load them up. Most folks, this is a reality. Most PC gamers are not even at 4K. And what you're getting in this box come this fall is going to rival a tremendous amount of the PC master race. And there are going to be PC players who go out and buy an X because it's this powerful. Anything in closing, Dreadpool? Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to VJ. Now, VJ, you, my friend, have been in the business, and you've seen both from the retail and design aspects of gaming. When you look at what Microsoft has done, when you look at what that design team has put together, it almost seems impossible to have all of that tech coming out for a price that they're suggesting. It doesn't even seem feasible for you as a gamer who is going to be buying this console day one. How impressed are you personally with what they've been able to do? And just based on the list that I made for the show, how incredible of all of that technology packed into one box.
I've got to be honest with you, Boom. I'm not a tech guy. So
me either. I'm certainly not. I never claimed to be. And you know what? Just from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do in those instances is I look to my peers, and obviously, you know, I visit this podcast and others. But what I did do is I went back and had a look at the when Richard and John were back at the
Digital Foundry.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And what I did is just looked at them off camera without sound, and just looking at their body language and the verbiage that they were using when they were off camera in the hotel room. I've never seen those two so impressed and surprised, to be quite honest with you, because these guys are normally at the top of their game.
Yes.
And just that showed me that they were literally in awe. And these guys obviously know a lot more than what they can actually say, right? Because of NDAs and so on and so forth. So I'm super impressed. I think it'll be a fantastic price point, because I think all of the panel members have already cited that Microsoft will be aggressive, and you can see that that Phil and his team have been sort of super aggressive and super smart, I would say, and super counter to Sony in terms of inviting all of the fans in and befriending them, right? Almost like family, right? And saying, look, community, so let's treat them like family. And that's what I think they've done. But the one thing I will say is that software and games is always going to be the better half of the software and hardware relationship.
Yes.
That's what will prove that Microsoft have actually listened to us, the family, the community, and have gone and done that extra mileage, right, in providing us in exactly what we've been asking for. And I think if they do that, then there's nothing to worry about. There was another thing you asked as well, like in terms of design, I think that it's totally fine. I've got no complaints. And I'm so glad that they focused on keeping it clean and simple, rather than trying to invest money and time and resources, which are limited, right, to a degree, trying to make it something look really, really exotic. So in terms of that, I think the other panel members have, sort of hit the nail on the head, right? There's nothing more that I can add, but nothing more I can add. But I'd just like to give a little shout out and a little side mention to the, because the other thing I come across was the Surface Neo and the Surface Duo, and they look really, really cool in terms of what they could offer for Game Pass. And all the only other thing I hope that that the Xbox team come out with is a mini wireless controller, because that will make my day, especially when I'm on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking to upgrade my. I'm running this show off of a Surface Pro 4. It's a little old, but it still does the job. It has everything I could possibly want. But I saw those, and I'm debating whether or not I'm going to. Not now, certainly not. Obviously there's a lot coming out this year. I may look to upgrade next year.
Oh, Ralph was going to say this Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Mojo, let's bring you into the conversation. But before I do, my brother, let me just catch up on some of these super chats, because if I lose them, I get a little upset, because, people don't have to donate anything, and I feel really bad. First of all, Elemental Pio, who is always here and a generous donor to the channel, he drops a $2 super chat. Day 2, boom, let's do this. Yes, I'm assuming you're talking about the day, and yes, this is going to be a long week, but it's going to be a fun week as we close in, folks, on 400 people already here. This is amazing. Oh, our good brother bringing us back to church and keeping it holy as usual. Smitty Smith drops a $5 super chat and says, tell him Dreadpool, as a total kit, the Series X is balanced and efficient, everything working together to achieve a great machine, the Book of X. So thank you so much for bringing us back there, dude, and also being here. And we have Sean Murray in the chat. Sean, welcome to the show, my brother. He drops a $5 super chat, says, that Double Barrel Gaming, all that you guys are saying is so true. I have a 2 terabyte WB7050 Black M NVMe SSD in an external enclosure. Such a difference. Yeah, listen, I can't wait to experience this, because I don't. My brother Neo Mental switched out the Series X. He put it SSD, and he told me that it is night and day, and I can't wait to see this new hardware. Elemental PO drops another $5 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. He says DTS release a special audio ad for the Xbox over 2 weeks ago. Has anyone on the panel tried it yet? You know what? No, I actually have not. I didn't even know they did that, surprisingly enough. But Mojo, look, you've heard what everyone had to say. You've seen the breakdowns by Austin Evans. You've seen what Digital Foundry thinks about the console. You've heard me break down in very detailed specifics on what's inside this box. How impressed are you for the future of the power of what Xbox is bringing to the table?
It's pretty much amazing. You gotta go back to the original One X. Okay. They needed to do something, and they went at it in a completely non-normal business video game company. They went at it like, we're going to build this for our customers, and they looked at what was wrong with the system, where the bottlenecks were, and they fixed things, and they went in and found hundreds of things where they could like speed things up and make it play better. And then that X dropped, and it's an amazing system.
It is.
It's so efficient and looks. My son has a maxed out PC. He has one of those 3,000, well, it was 2,000 something, but he has a pretty much maxed out PC. And he'll walk through and see what I got on playing, and then sometimes I'll see what he's got, and I just laugh because I'm 4K, sometimes 60. He don't get that on the same games. We can both be playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm just telling you that X is, it's special. So I knew going back 3 years ago when they started work on this, and I started hearing little tidbits of things like balanced, the most balanced system ever. Well, that's what they've done. And when they told the guys what box, well, instead of trying something flowery, space age looking with fins and silly stuff, they went to a complete straight industrial, which I find beautiful, by the way. Just a straight up box. Yeah, it does look like a mini tower, and all things said and done, but yet it's got its Xbox touches to it. It's going to be super efficient on keeping this thing cool, and it's going to fit under your console. On PS5s, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be able to stand them vertical. Most people have 12-inch clearance, and that's it. All right, cubes and things under their TVs, but wow, little things like that they looked at. They kept it, 11 point whatever 9 something, so it's going to fit.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And literally, it's going to slide in there rather nicely.
Yeah, and then they looked at the whole future proofing was more about, okay, they knew Sony had that much more expensive SSD. They could have went and bought the same model or designed one in that same level, but it made more sense to let's just put the standard off the shelf SSD that's out right now. It's super fast already, and then what can we do to make it faster? What can we do to? And then they went about doing the 4 different aspects to have a system that would fix things before that they were even messed up. That it was smart design from the beginning. And we get the machine with machine learning, you're going to get extra frame rates there, whatever, you start playing a game, and it's going to be like, oh, okay, it needs to be this, and it'll just do it. So from then on out, you're going to get those extra frames. It was genius, and they looked at things just really differently. And as far as money, hey, whatever they sell things for, that's their business. I don't care if it's $500. That it's worth every penny.
Yes.
If it ends up being cheaper, then that's great for us. I don't see how they could, but they built a machine based on components they're putting in, and I don't necessarily know how much of the engineering and all that we paid for. I don't see them adding a penny for all that, and we got that just because they've got the people at Redmond doing it. And then they were also working with fine folks at AMD, where Sony put the PS5 together based on a price point. Okay, they had a price point they wanted to hit, and then they got in a little bit of trouble when they couldn't hit it, and then different things happened. And I'm sure the PS5 is going to be a fine machine and all that. I'm not trying to put it down. It will be fine. We know how Sony is, and they've got great game. Their game people will make games work on their system at that level. Well, Microsoft, we didn't have the studios to do that. Now we do, and we have a lot more of them, and they've stocked them up. So all this time over the last 3 years, it's been 2-pronged. Well, you had all the engineer guys back in Redmond working hard. They bought these studios up. They've been stocking them with top talent, and that's what you got to do. You surround yourself with smarter people than you, and then and you let them do their thing. And then, same thing, promoting it. They brought back the one guy that had left, and got him back in the fold, and I think they're gonna promote heavy, and in a good way. I think you'll actually see television commercials this go around, and they gave up on that last gen way too soon, thinking that no, everything's internet now, and we don't need this. No, you needed it.
You're talking about Jared West.
Yeah.
Yes, Jared West is running the show. He was the lead architect for the Xbox 360's marketing, and he left right before the Xbox One released, and you saw a tremendous drop off in understanding, messaging, marketing, market speech. All of that had gone under the whoever took over for him just did not cut the mustard. He came back. He came back in early December, and his vision for the future of the brand has been front and center, and you can immediately tell a difference.
Yeah, and it was all working perfectly. That's what I keep coming back to, that word, balanced system. It's not just the system. It's not just the games being designed on it. Both of those have been working hand in hand. It's also the marketing. They put it all together. So I have nothing but unbelievable confidence that we're going to get the kind of games we ain't getting in the past. We're finally going to start getting a lot more Japanese type games. Phil keeps going over there. He's made deals. I mean, the stuff we have now that you can play right now on just X or an S. There's a lot of great Japanese games. And 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, no. And people go back to 360 and say, oh, it was better back then. We got a couple. They paid for and got a couple of Japanese games, and nobody bought them back then. It wasn't better. It wasn't good. This time they're making sure that they put those games in Game Pass. They're out there. You're subscribed. You get them. You can go download them and start playing. You got to get Xbox owners. If they're not going to purchase those games, then those companies aren't going to put those games out on Xbox. It's as simple as that. And in the past, that's kind of what happened. And then they were like, oh, well, we don't sell over there. Well, that's not true at all. They might not sell Xboxes over there. That part might be true, but Japanese games sell worldwide. And
yeah. Well, there was actually an article that just was recently an interview with Phil talking about how he feels about the deals that they've made. We're in for a lot of treats, and I think that we're going to see several of those Japanese deals, those games that you were talking about, you're referring to, at this showcase on Thursday. And it's going to be very interesting to see, because it is an area that Sony is unrivaled at, and it would be nice to see some of those same titles, potentially exclusive titles, come to the series, the Xbox platform more specifically. But listen, Mojo, I want to move on to the next topic, and I'll start with you, because obviously you and I haven't had a chance to talk in a while, and I think the people would be interesting to hear what you have to say. With the power comes industry leading services. Now, we know that Microsoft has this in spades, and when talking about the Microsoft services for Xbox, the industry has in the past laughed at the idea that outside of Xbox Live, it would be considered a farce by many about Game Pass. Game Pass was laughed upon. If you guys and gals remember, there were several podcasts that I will not name, because I don't do that on this channel or on this show, that called the death of Xbox because of Game Pass. We've also heard something to the effect where they said it was devaluing. Several websites, as well as many podcasts, claimed and clamored that Xbox Game Pass would devalue Microsoft's first party. Of course, all of them were wrong, because now they're sitting over 15 million plus, and it's only going to get better. And the what we got last week, which was really interesting, was we got the confirmation that Project xCloud is going to be put into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for the price of free. And that's a big deal, folks. That the value of your $15 has gone through the roof, on top of already getting first and second party games in their day and date. And what's interesting, to buy these games, you might have to logistically be very strategic on what game you bought, but you don't have to do that with Xbox Game Pass, because all of those games are going to be in there for the price of $15 a month. And most of us had our Game Pass subscriptions extended at the at last year. I'm paid up all the way up until the end of 2022, so I'm good. And I know a lot of people are like that as well. But Mojo, when you saw that Microsoft not only has the power, which we just discussed, but you look at how they position the company and the brand more specifically with their services that include Xbox Live. Now, granted, it's not perfect. It has been down quite a few times this year, but that's because of the amount of people that are at home. And PlayStation and Nintendo, well, we can't talk about Nintendo. They don't even really have a network, but PlayStation's been down potentially just as much or even worse. So we know Xbox Live is secure. No one's going to hack your console. No one's going to get your bank account number and go on a spending spree and buy a Lamborghini, right? We don't have to bring Sony to the conversation, but we know that is what happened in the past. And their service and their PSN is still not that great. But now with the services, besides Xbox Live, you have two of leading industry leading services in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and now xCloud. What are your thoughts on, with the power comes great responsibility, and it seems like Microsoft has answered that call?
I've been championing Game Pass for a long time now, telling people that no rival, period, in any industry. You can, you can go pick up a used Xbox, get your Game Pass subscription, and wow, the amount of games you can play is just amazing. And for a launch to be happening this year, and to know that you can go in and get that new console, you're going to get upgraded games that are going to automatically be made to look and play best on what you just bought. It's amazing. And telling my son, hey, you're about to get xCloud. You're playing games on PC, but you're now going to be able to play them on your phone wherever you're at. He just right over his head. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. They just rolled it in. It's going to be part of it. And as soon as they activate it, you can boot up and you'll be able to play those games on your phone, anywhere you're at. You can set that. He still plays Game Boy Advance games and carries one around, and he's got a Switch, and he's got the DX Game Boy. He loves those handhelds. And I'm like, now you're gonna be playing real AAA games
on the go
on a 4K AMOLED surface, whatever. Your Note. He's got the Note 9, and we're both gonna. But we were going to go to Note 10, but I guess our area is not getting 5G anytime soon. So we'll probably wait another year before we upgrade phones to we actually have 5G here. But, but still, even with just 4G, I think it look amazing. And you get that. You don't got to pay nothing. You don't got to do anything. You just get it. You're already subscribed. You just got to keep subscribed. And for the $15 a month, it's worth every penny. I've long said that Microsoft needed to focus their advertising Game Pass on the not the hardcore gamers, not us guys. We all get everything anyway. But that waitress mom with divorced 3 kids, and she can barely scrape together. She's lucky she can get that one console. She gets Xbox with Game Pass. Her kids have everything they could want that's in there. Big AAA's day one, day and date release to play. It's so important what they've done. It's amazing. Now they've still got to get the word out. I still run into people every day that don't know anything about that. I'm gonna get that PS5. Well, that's great. Sony offers will have some great games, but for your day-to-day driver, you're gonna need an Xbox. I'm just telling you, that's where the games are. That's where you're gonna play the bulk of your stuff. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You want to be part of that ecosystem or ecosystem. It's truly truly an amazing thing that they've done. And you know what? They're not losing a penny.
No, they're making money. They're making money hand over fist.
Hand over fist, and the studios making those games they're all getting paid, and they're going to make great games. And I really love the fact that the diversity. I like the fact that you can play a cartoony, silly game and then turn around. They're going to have the big AAA over-the-shoulder camera type games. Those are coming. They've got the studios that are all working on multiple games. It is a great time right now, moving forward to be on Xbox.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no doubt about it. It is the services that rule them all personally. You know, I want to bring Clowns. First of all, you know, you and I worked together for many years before you actually being on Primetime Gaming, and we have heard the paranoid thoughts and theories regarding what Xbox Game Pass was going to do, not only to the Microsoft platform but the industry, and of course, they have all been proven wrong time and time again. And the Netflix of gaming, which is what Microsoft is aiming to be and has become, in my opinion, has never been stronger, with the guesstimated 15 plus million. And we heard that from Tim Dog himself, who, you know, when Tim Dog speaks, I listen, and he said that it's over 15 million. So if he's saying so, I'm buying what he's selling. And this, obviously, hearing that, this is probably the most successful digital gaming service in the history of the industry, which has been gone on since 1978 OPS, by the way, and maybe earlier than that. How impressed are you with the fact that xCloud is now a part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, making it the ultimate digital service?
I think that this is fantastic. I'm really excited about Game Pass and the future of the services that Phil Spencer has brought to the Xbox platform. Game Pass, no matter what anybody will tell you, it does not devalue games. We've seen developers praise the program because their sales have increased from titles that they thought people would have never heard of. I mean, so Game Pass is getting titles out there, right? Microsoft and Xbox are making deals with the developers and publishers to get the games in there. And some of the games do rotate, and they'll tell you before the games leave.
Yes.
And if you're into a game and you like it, and you're not going to be able to complete it before it leaves, guess what's going to happen? You, the user, will probably buy that game at the discounted rate for Game Pass subscribers because it's a fantastic deal all the way around.
Yep.
It is an awesome service. And Xbox and Phil Spencer was the first company to come out here with this type of program and let you actually download the full games and not just stream them like the competitors had going. And the stream was not very good for those competitors. Mm-hmm. And now Phil got that part down properly. So now he's investing further into xCloud to reach further people out there that maybe would never get an Xbox, or they might not sell Xboxes at their local game stores. Think like third world countries, second world countries, and they can hop on their phones, their tablets, or whatever device they have, and download the xCloud app and be like, wow, I am playing xCloud. Wow, I can connect to Microsoft and Xbox Live. This is great. I can make friends in other countries that I would have never, ever spoken to before. I mean, The deal is fantastic for everybody. Everybody wins with Microsoft and Xbox Game Pass program, xCloud program. And on top of that, I have friends that I would have never met from PC. One of the guys in particular, he plays Call of Duty. Well, he plays his Call of Duty on the PC. But guess what? Because of Xbox Party Chat and because he bought into the Game Pass program and created an Xbox Live account, I met him playing Call of Duty, and now we talk at Xbox Live parties while he's on his PC, and he downloads and plays the Game Pass program on the PC, and he's like, wow, this is great stuff. You know, I would have never got an Xbox, but I love the games that I'm playing on my PC, games that I would have never even bought or thought to try. He's like, there's a whole selection that I could play on my PC. And here's where I come in. I'm like, wow, you should really check it out. when the Series X comes out and get it on Xbox as well. And
yeah.
Oh yeah, and xCloud, oh, that's going to be fantastic. It's just Phil and Xbox, they thought ahead, they combined it all together, and they're taking in people from the phone, the tablet market, they're taking people in from the PC market, and they're taking existing console players, and they're crossing everybody together. Like, hey, console players, you can play this on your PC with Ultimate, or you can play xCloud on your phone on the go. Hey, phone people, you can play xCloud on the go, and if you got a PC at home, you can get Game Pass on your PC. And the PC players are like, hey, guess what? You can play more games on Xbox, and you can play even more games on xCloud on your phone or tablet. So it's very future-proof. It's a lot better than what the competition offers. I think I have PS Now right on the PlayStation, and they recently just started allowing people to download some of their games, but it's nothing like the Game Pass program.
No,
and their
close.
PS Now streaming service is worse than xCloud. I'm in the xCloud beta program. I was in it since the beginning.
Me too. Me too.
That.
Yes.
And yes, there is some delay for people that do ask right now, but that service will get better over time. And with 5G getting better, that's going to be 10 times better. Trust me. And on the Azure servers and the servers that Xbox and Microsoft put out there, it's going to be better than the competition. The competition is going to have to come to Microsoft, use Microsoft servers to get their games on par with the millisecond delays that Xbox is going to have when that 5G rolls out. I'm telling you, this is the future of gaming, and you're either on board or you're off the ship. And if you're off the ship, you're going to end up not playing any games in the future, because this is what a lot of companies want to do. Amazon, Google, PlayStation, they all want to go this route, but Xbox has done it the best, and they are the example model citizen of a gaming company to get it out there the way it is.
No, I mean, listen, clowns. My goodness, you showed up today, brother, because that was awesome. Real quick, I want to bring Dreadpool into the conversation, but I just want to catch up on some of these super chats. And thanks to him, I would have missed some. So thank you, Dread. I super appreciate your putting it into the private chat. First of all, Sin Vendetta once again, my goodness, shows his outstanding generosity, and he says something super interesting that I didn't know. And folks, this is where I go, maybe Boom was right. Thank you for letting people know the vindication of the WB deal that's already dried ink is coming true. He says this, Boom, did you see that the Xbox is doing a WB Games publisher sale this morning? That is very interesting timing. Indeed, my friend. Kay Asante drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. Says, afternoon, Mr. Boom and esteemed panel. We only have 1 day, 23 hours, and 10 minutes left, but who's counting? Yes, dude. I mean, it's Christmas, and I can't wait. Thank you for your super chat. Harpy Dawns drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, would you invite a PlayStation 5 or PC gamer to the show if you know they are down to earth? Absolutely. Everyone is welcome here. Or would you accept an invitation to their shows if you know they're respectful? Look, here's the thing. I throw this out there on a regular basis. Everyone that wants to be on my show, that is not a toxic troll, that's not a community troublemaker, and it's going to come on here and be respectful, not only, of course, to the panel at hand, but more importantly, the community that I represent. The community is an extension of my family, and I have to vet said person. I have to make sure, I have to look at their timeline. I just don't invite anyone on the show simply because I attempted to do that, and you come across an a-hole every now and again, and I'm building a brand, and I cannot be responsible for someone dropping F-bombs and making a fool of themselves, because it makes me look bad as a host. So yes, I would invite. I mean, we have Mr. Badbit, who is as PlayStation as they get, and I think he's extremely fair with the trophy room. So if you know someone, DM me with their information, and I'll give them I'll reach out to them and engage and see whether or not they want to be on the show. So yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, but thank you for, of course, the suggestion. Black Eye Dog is here. He dropped an outstanding super chat yesterday before the show even went live, and he drops another one, a $5 super sticker. Well, thank you so much. And Smitty Smith, once again, my goodness, dude, thank you for your generosity. He says, Remember when they said Game Pass was and never was? Petridge Farms remembers the Book of X. And yes, I laughed. I had to mute my mic. I laughed out loud. Smitty, that was great. But, Dreadpool, in several interviews, we've heard Phil Spencer say that Xbox gamers are not only playing more games since Xbox Game Pass launched, but they're buying more games, which is interesting. And again, this is coming off the heels that this service is going to ruin the industry at its core, and yet everyone is trying to mimic it. And we see that PlayStation Now, it's not where I want it to be. It's a start in the right direction, but it's not what I want. But Game Pass is what I want. What are your thoughts on what they have been able to do by incorporating Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, and now xCloud into one package for $15 a month? How insane is this?
Well, you're getting the best bang for your buck. Okay, so here's the best part. All right, I'm going to go off a couple weeks ago. I was talking to Michael Mullis. He's from the original Next Level Gaming. Right? They do their shows on Thursday nights. Now, I was on their show, and later on we were talking after the show, and he goes, "You know what? I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and buy the Iron Man game." Okay, and he turns around and he goes, "Thank you, Game Pass." Now, picture that. If Game Pass helped him save money and he was able to buy games, it doesn't have to be just the fact that he's buying games on the Xbox ecosystem. He's just buying games. Okay. And that's the beauty of it. It's not just to stay inside the ecosystem. Now you can spend your money wherever you want. If you want a new gadget or a new toy or another hard drive, you know what I mean? You can do that because now you've saved that money, and now you can make a better choice versus sitting there going, "Well, I can't buy this game now."
Yes.
What do I do? Well, guess what? I can still play some AAA games. I can play some indie games. I can play some games that I would never, ever think of trying. But yet, now there's a game that I can afford to buy that I really wanted to, that's not even going to be here. So the money is still being generated. It may not go exactly back to Xbox, but guess what? It's feeding the gamer's need to play a game. It doesn't matter. This is what it's about. And that's what they're trying to do, is trying to help you just play more games. So having all of this stuff, the xCloud is not just playing games online. There's more to it. It's more to back up, or not more to, but it's also to assist in backing up how to play your games. Okay. If you don't have the ability to play your game right now, but guess what? You got your phone, you can play your game. At the same time, you're looking at your phone and going, "Hey, you know what? There's an expansion on this that I want to buy for this game." You can load that up. You don't have to load it up on your phone, but when you get home, you can load it up there. So it's a huge ecosystem that they're doing, and it's actually helping out the developers no matter where they are, because it helped out the developer on an opposite platform. Remember how Minecraft is on everybody's platform?
Yes.
So yet again, you're on Xbox's ecosystem. If you're buying it on Nintendo's platform, you're helping out Nintendo, but yet again, it's still going back to the developer. Everything still correlates with Xbox and Game Pass. So Game Pass is actually helping out multiple avenues, and mostly for the gamer.
Yeah, it's. I mean, listen. When you look at again, I have to keep bringing this up, Dreadpool. When you look at the economy, and you look at how there are a lot of games coming out this fall. There were 2 major consoles releasing. It just goes to show you the forward thinking. I mean, obviously, no one could have guessed that we were going to have a T-virus situation. No one realized that the world was going to turn on its ear with other situations that happened. I mean, this 2020 is going to be remembered and forgotten by many, because it's a year of horror for a lot of reasons. And Microsoft being so forward thinking with how they wanted to position themselves in the future of their box, the future of their platform has proven itself time and time again before. Now it's really come to a head. And, you know, VJ, I want to bring you into the conversation because you, my friend, not only do you enjoy gaming, not only have you been on the developer side, but you've been on the retail side of things. And this is where I want to really grab your expertise, so to speak, regarding what Microsoft has put together. Because again, you said it before, and actually on the next topic when we talk games, I'm going to bring you in the lead because you said something earlier that I found very interesting and very truthful about how games are a major part of the marriage. In fact, they're probably the most important of the marriage. But keeping with Game Pass, what Microsoft has been able to do in a short amount of time is offer its community that is now hurting financially a way to still get the next generation consoles. And you know, and it's funny, when I said services, I absolutely completely left off the table until I got to you. The Xbox All Access program, which is going to give gamers who might be in a tougher financial situation than they were last year or the year before, the ability to still have the chance to upgrade to their favorite console for $35 or $40 a month, and in that $40 a month still get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate that has live, that has 200 games, that has first party day and date drops, and also now has Project xCloud. How big of a deal is this for the Microsoft platform as a whole?
I think the biggest thing, one of the things I wanted to just comment on, the people that were initially laughing at Game Pass don't understand corporate planning. I think we all know what happened to the Xbox One, you know, in terms of commercial issues. And then that coincided with Phil coming into power, was it around 2014? And I think when you're a corporation and you're struggling, and I know that they're making money, but the brand, the recognition is something that's really, I think, close to Phil's heart. And he would have sat down for a few months with a very large team and sat there and said, look, what are the potential business strategies for the future of Xbox? And I think one of the key things now we're realizing, one of the key things that were born out of those meetings, probably back in 2014, is this triple combo of Series X hardware, Game Pass, and xCloud, right? In terms of people of all walks of life being able to access, right?
Yes, yes.
But the thing is, it all dovetails into one thing: putting Microsoft back on top. And there's so many facets right now to Microsoft and Xbox. It's like you can lose track of it really, really quickly, right?
Yes.
But you've got Game Pass, which there is no competitor. It's best in class. It's a best in class subscription service. And with the introduction of xCloud, it only goes to further, I don't know, enhance, magnify, exemplify the service itself. And I think that Microsoft aren't silly. They have to make money. And I think that when you talk about the All Access program and people from all walks of life, Phil knows that that's where the hundreds of millions of subscribers exist. And I think they're one of their most first initial sort of strategies that they're going to invoke is converting those 100 million Xbox Live players over to Game Pass. I think that's got to be really, really important for them. But I want to caveat all of that good news and all of that sort of future that we can see with what I don't want to see is periodic sort of bite-sized price increases, at least for the next several years. I mean, I was just looking at, you know, the other successful services out there, like, and how they sort of nurture their business. Just as a side note, Netflix have increased their base plan pricing 63%
Yes.
That is over a period of 9 years, but that's every couple of years. I'm not saying that it will happen, but with the talk of $70 games, the cost of development, it's just that I think that the community has played a huge role, especially channels like this, in telling Microsoft what we want. And it's about, and after the 23rd, I think that's where the hard work starts, because that's going to be for the next 7 or 8 years. And as a community, we just need to be aware and continually and respectfully, as you say, you know, just make Microsoft try to keep them in check, right, as much as we possibly.
Yes, good point. No, I mean, listen, everything you said is perfect, and I do like the Netflix information there, because a lot of people don't realize that, yes, 63% over a course of 9 years. It may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot. And you brought up another great point. Again, putting on your retailer's hat. If these games do go up to $70, right, and that becomes the industry, standard, folks, Xbox Game Pass just saved the day. Because I mean, think about it. Microsoft is going to, there's going to be a point in the conversation that Microsoft is going to bring in a ginormous third-party game that's going to make people gasp. They're going to look at it and say, "What? Are you shitting me?" That's going to happen. Now, I still believe, even though CD Projekt Red has poo-pooed this, I still think that Cyberpunk 2077, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, and if so, so be it. But we have seen big games get into this service through third party. Sure, they're 3 months old, 4 months old, maybe even 6 months old, but they're in there. And if you miss those games because maybe you're not as financial stout as the next guy sitting next to you on the train to work, you now get a chance to play it. And more importantly, you're playing it for your $15. And when it gets out, you can buy it for a discount, like Clowns was saying. Listen, this was a great part of the conversation, and I'm happy to say that I'm glad that we brought it up. But I want to move on to, I think, is the most important part of this particular show's topics list, and that is, of course, with the Microsoft having 15 plus studios, and I put an asterisk next to this because I think they have more than 15 now. We just don't know yet. Studios making games for their first party, it's stronger now more than ever. And I want to start with you, VJ, because you mentioned games being the most important part of a marriage when it comes to console gaming. And listen, you can have all the power you want, but if you don't have the games, people can't experience the power. And Microsoft understands this. Now, we know that big first, second, and third party exclusives are coming to the platform and will offer unique and engaging experiences unlike anything we have played before. But once the gaming world can see this, the Xbox platform will be vindicated, in my opinion, because then the running narrative of Xbox has no games, or no games on the Xbox brand look like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, or Spider-Man. And I think we're going to get that this Thursday. How important is this aspect for Microsoft, and do you feel they've done due diligence to answer the call of the fans?
Oh, absolutely. I think, just going back to the corporate planning, they've designed the outlets and the platforms that they want, everybody in the community and gamers that are sort of even considering Xbox and Game Pass right now. So I think they've put, to be quite frank, I think they've put just as hard work into creating the studios, to creating the games, as much as effort they've put into creating the hardware. And I actually think we're in for a real treat come Thursday. And even just looking at, like Aaron, kind of gets excited, but if you read his language that he's been using, and also very few words that he's using, but he's being very more subtle. But I think that just shows you how confident he is. He's not using sort of bombastic words or anything like that. He's very quietly confident, and being subdued in terms of his manner, just like pretty much tells us, right, that this is happening. And some people that are in the know, and I've heard people on your channel as well, is people are sort of bursting at the seams, in terms of what to expect. And to be quite honest with you, if I'm Phil, what I want to achieve out of this is, because he's taken a lot of crap. I'm sorry to use that word on your channel. Is a lot of crap, and I've got to take my hat off to him in terms of the way he handles it in such a professional manner. And I think this event will sort of bring back Xbox, the respect, the prestige, and a place back at the top. I really do. And it's good for gaming. It's good for the...
It is, yes.
I mean, it's not just about Xbox, because if they really put up a really hard fight this term, we win. All console owners win. It doesn't matter which sort of box you own. But to be on a personal level, when I'm watching as a consumer, all I want to be is happy to see creativity, quality, and variety on par with Xbox's first-party rival studios. To be quite honest with you, and I think we'll get that. And I think Thursday is just the completion of phase one of Microsoft's road to launch, so to speak. And I think that, the reason why I'm saying that is that to be at the top of your game in this industry, it's all about consistency. And
yes.
that, and even before the PS4 generation, Sony used to struggle. People used to compare them to Nintendo and say, why has Nintendo always got these great games? And why is Sony so sporadic? It takes time. It takes an incredible amount of time. And I think that Phil's a smart guy. And you can sort of have a go at him for being inconsistent in his language or his comments. And I see all this it's all this nonsense on Twitter, because I'm pretty relatively new to it. But what I can tell you, he's an incredibly difficult job. He's got so many, sort of facets of the business to look after. And I think that in parallel to creating the hardware and getting the shooters and building the software, I think he's also slowly but surely managed to surround himself with a very, very good team. That's what I can see from the outside looking in. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, you know what? It's worth a heck of a lot more than 2 cents. I'd say it's probably worth about $2. So that was fantastic, VJ. Really appreciate the way you attacked that particular topic. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to nearly 550 people, man. Folks, listen, I laugh when I say that, because when I started this channel in 2017, I had no idea that I would ever become this successful. Folks, this is unbelievable, and it's tremendous. It's a tremendous honor to put out the amount of content that I do for you, because I love you as a community, but more importantly, I really enjoy doing this, and many of the late nights that I spend up, it's absolutely, for me, so worth it to be able to be here and have so many people here watching. I honestly cannot thank you enough. But I want to bring Dreadpool in the conversation. But Dreadpool, before I do, let me just catch up on a couple of super chats that have come in. First of all, Kay Asante is a very good and generous friend of the show. He drops another $5 super chat, and he actually asked a question. Did you read the Polygon article? Phil basically said that they had conversations on putting xCloud on Switch and PlayStation, but those platforms don't want all of the XBL features. Well, you know what? I say their loss. Yep. Good on them for saying no, because now obviously Microsoft can just rule the world without having to worry about them. But thank you for that. Viper XT, another very generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, allow me to try the Blair Witch game. I really enjoy. He's saying Game Pass allowed me to try the Blair Witch game, which I really enjoyed and figured out it was developed by Bloober Games, who is also developing The Medium. Yes, The Medium is going to be a big deal, folks. And so now The Medium is day one for me. Thank you, Game Pass. And that's a great point. That is a fantastic point and very true. A lot of you get to play games that you would have not bought because maybe they're not in your financial wheelhouse. And the fact that they're in Game Pass, you're like, well, I don't really have to pay for this because I'm paying $15 a month. Let me just hit the download button, and there you go. And a big super chat comes in from a good friend of the show. Crazy May Gaming drops an outstanding and extremely generous $20 super chat and says, I just got a bonus check and thought I'd share it with my favorite podcast ever. Keep it up, boom, you rock. Oh, dude, that is awesome of you to say. Thank you for sharing, of course, the wealth, but more importantly, the kind words. That is, to me, more important than anything. And I'm glad that you are enjoying the programming that comes behind Double Barrel Gaming. But Dreadpool, look, along with the narrative that Xbox has no games, we have also had this has been a running narrative for quite some time. And listen, folks, we got to be fair. You got to be fair. It has haunted the Xbox platform for the lack of first-party games. I mean, and again, to each individual, the mileage is going to be different. I hear you. I like all of Microsoft's first party. I loved what they launched with. I thought that a lot of the games that people poo-pooed, I actually enjoyed. But when comparing apples to apples, Sony did put out a tremendous amount of really amazing AAA bangers. But you know what? Those days, Dreadpool, seem to be a thing of the past, because what we're hearing is that not only is this show on Thursday going to be incredible and an open, basically not just peek behind the curtain, literally rip the curtain from its rod, holding it up to show the gaming public, the gaming populace, what's coming for Xbox. But we have other future shows that are going to continue. And we're not even getting the Initiatives game that's coming in August, which is crazy. How excited, and more importantly, how important to the gaming platform is all of this Xbox first-party goodness that we're going to be privy to this Thursday?
Well, it's very important, especially seeing that Xbox has no games. That's like saying if, let's see, how many guys have said, I don't have a Switch because I'm not into that. I don't do that anymore. A lot of Nintendo games are kiddie games. I don't do that. So isn't that the same thing, that Nintendo has no games? It's whoever has no games for you. That's your narrative. Okay, that's what they're doing. It's a narrative that they're pushing, which it might apply to them. Okay, so that might make sense to them, but we already know that a lot of the narrative is just BS. Look at how long it took the beginning of this generation for Sony to put out those games. I mean, we waited 6 years for certain games to come out. I mean, how many times did they tease us over and over again? You know, this is part of development. You want those AAA games, you want those clean-cut, polished games. It's going to take a while. You know, it's not an overnight thing that you put it together. Look at Cuphead. Okay, yes, there was a smaller group of people that did all this, and then you look at Senua's Sacrifice. Okay, you look at that, and that was a bigger group of people putting in the work over time.
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't just an overnighter thing. You know, all right, let's put this game together, slap it together. What did we get when you do that? We got Anthem. Okay, that's what you get when you slap stuff together. It was decent, but it lacked. Okay, so when you say you have no games, it's just a narrative. You know, we need to get over that and using that as an excuse. Yeah, you might not have a game for you, but then you can say the same thing for Nintendo. You can say the same thing for Sony. You can say the same thing for Stadia, Amico, the Atari that's coming out. I mean, you know, all that stuff could be. It's got no games. You know why? Because, oh wait, PC has no games too, because I don't do RTS. You know what I'm saying? So that narrative is silly. So we need to move past that, because where we're at now with what Microsoft or technically Xbox now, with what Xbox is doing is they're building all that stuff up. So we don't have a pause in between games where we have, you know, stuff going on. You know, what else did we hear as a narrative? Oh, it's a passion project, right?
Yes, we sure did.
Isn't the new Star Wars Squadrons game a passion project?
Indeed it is, dude. That's a great point.
So why, you know, that's the whole thing, is these people are spinning these narratives when we should not be listening to them spinning their narratives. They want to talk, don't listen, don't give them a platform. Okay, don't even argue with them, don't even acknowledge them. Okay, we know that these games are coming out, and what they're going to show us in the next 2 days is going to blow our minds. I mean, if Randall Thor is saying he's excited, that has me excited. Okay, you got other podcasts that we all listen to. Some of them have a little bit more know than others.
Yes,
but when they're the ones that are saying that, you know, you should not worry about taming your expectations. Yes, I still will go into the show not caring what it's about. I'm just going to watch the show for what it is and let the adrenaline rush wash over me. Let it happen naturally. Because if a game doesn't do it for me, it's not going to do it for me. It's not my expectations. It's just not for me.
Right,
you know what I mean?
And that happens, dude. That's a reality. Not,
and
I should make a T-shirt. I said this before. Not every game is for every gamer.
Right, and games are made for everyone, but not, like you said, not every game is for everyone. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, when you look at all this, we know that when you get overhyped for something, it's you want more of it. Okay, you want something more, that you're envisioning something beyond the scope that the team could even do or even thought of. Okay, we've all talked about our theories. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed. I want 16-player clan raids. You know what I mean? I want a whole bunch of Vikings going to raid a village. You know, and I want to have like another 16 of villagers trying to protect themselves. You know, we know that they can do 16. We have Call of Duty that can do how many people? We have Fortnite that can do how many people? I mean, they have what, 200 versus 200, right? So if you got 200 versus, I mean, come on, we can do this stuff. But is the game going to come out like that? No, it's because that's what we want. We want more from these games, and we don't know what's going on in the background. We don't, you know, so we don't see how long it takes, all the problems, all the issues that they want to do and come across, and they have to figure out how to do it. All we see is just make the damn game. You know, excuse me for that, but you know, just make it. You know, we don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that they have to go through on designing all this stuff, the drawings, I mean, just the engine, getting everything together. So it's going to take some time. But guess what? We're going to see everything in the next 2 days. We're going to see what they're going to show us. And it's not going to be within the next 5 years out. You know, it's going to be what we're going to see within the next year.
No, absolutely, and you know something, I think that the days of Phil and company not showing games too far into the future, I think that's the thing of the past, in the past, I should say. But Clowns, let's bring you back into the conversation now. You and I, we're along with many people, are longtime supporters of the Emerald Green, and it's a no-brainer that you and I and many people on this panel and the 530 plus people here right now want a new Fable. We want a new Perfect Dark. We want Mech Assault. We want Crimson Skies. We want a new Banjo-Kazooie. But I think we all want more than that. And I think Microsoft has set themselves up to deliver in a big way. How big of a deal do you think the gaming platform for Microsoft is going to be moving forward, and more so on display this Thursday?
Well, I think that the 15 plus studios that Microsoft and Xbox have acquired over this period of time under Phil Spencer is going to do fantastic things for the future of games for Xbox. And keep in mind that these studios are not only going to be making one game. I mean, there's more teams there, so they might make 2 or 3 games, and some might be AAA, some might be AA. But you know what? They're all going to be in Game Pass, so that's going to be great. More value for your buck. Mm-hmm. Plus, I mean, it adds more content. You know, some people really like blockbuster games, and other people just like small indie titles, and they like their AA or their single A, whatever they prefer. I mean, these 15 plus studios, they're ready to handle that with multiple teams. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to show at the event. I am pumped up for Fable. I do believe in my heart that Fable will be shown, despite what some people say. I think Fable will be there.
Showing it too. They're showing it.
Yeah. So, you know, Boom, I just can't wait to see what is actually at that show. We know we're going to get Halo, obviously Fable, and maybe some surprises that these studios have been working on the side, like, you know, their second or third teams might have been working on.
Compulsion and that would be games. Keep folks. I said this from the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. Keep compulsion games in the back of your mind, or put it in your back pocket, put it in the front pocket, put it wherever you want. I am telling you, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've only gone to a few of the dark corners of the web to find out. And I am telling you, that is the team that is going to impress the most. What they're working on is supposed to be a combination of BioShock meets Uncharted, a third-person horror-esque adventure game. Folks, I'm telling you right now, if that's what they're working on, and my sources are correct, and they usually are, if I'm going to say it out loud, we are going to be in for an unbelievable brand new IP on a studio that people scoffed at when they bought them. I am telling you right now, we're gonna come back to this conversation, and I'm going to fucking say, pardon my French, the one F-bomb on the show. I told you so. But good stuff as always, Clowns, and you can tell you're excited. This is where Clowns I haven't seen him this passionate and excited for quite some time, and I'm glad that you're doing it on this show because people need to hear your voice, because quite frankly you have a lot to say. But let me catch up on, man, some of these super chats that have come in are just insane. Goose8402 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says something extremely nice. He said, always a good day when I make the show live. 2 days, Boom. 2 days. Everyone hit the subscribe button. Boom never disappoints. That's awesome of you to say. And Viper XT, who is an extreme generous person, says this after dropping another $5 super chat. I don't get my bonus check until September or October, so you'll have to wait. Boom, listen, dude, I'm just happy you're here, and your generosity is obviously second to none. We have a few more. Viper XT, once again, he drops another $5 super chat. Says Minecraft and PUBG were passion projects, and look how big they became. That is a great point. And Viper XT, once again, another $2 super chat, said, oops, I meant PUBG. And we have Van W, who drops an outrageous, generous $20 super chat. Says, great channel success, Boom. I really hope that Xbox takes some time to get their share button working right and customizable, like short press and long press without pausing the game. Yeah, that's something they actually could potentially do with the new controller. And if you think about it, we haven't really heard much about what they're doing with that controller. And I think we're going to get all of that in August. Those are great points. JD Gamer, another good friend of the show and a generous friend at that, he drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says this: imagine if by the end of the year, Microsoft has acquired, oh my God, here we go, WB, Techland, Asobo, IO Interactive, and a Japanese studio. They will literally have so many AAA teams. They will struggle to release only 4.0. If they pull off some ridiculous thing like that, I'm gonna call it. I'm calling it a generation, folks. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get on the bandwagon and start banging this drum. Master Clowns X3 drops a very generous $20 super chat and simply says, "Boom, great panel." Well, thanks, dude. Super appreciate that. Yeah, everyone on this panel is somebody I enjoy working with, and to have them here is great. Smitty Smith bringing us back to church once again with another outstanding and very generous $20 super chat, and says this Thursday will be like Thanksgiving. They'll put the list together. They did the shopping. They put the prep work in, followed by the cooking instructions, and the turkey is in the oven. Now let's eat the Book of X. I mean, listen, folks, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it Thanksgiving. You can call it Christmas. You can call it Happy New Year's. This is what we've all been waiting for. Viper XT, my goodness, he drops another $2 super chat and says, holy crap, Boom dropped an F-bomb. Awesome. Yeah, I don't like the curse. I try really not to, but sometimes my excitement gets away with me, and that is what happened. But Mojo, let's bring you back into the conversation. You've been sitting there patiently. You know, obviously, games are at the core of any console, whether that be something as simple as the Game Boy Advance, like your son still plays, which is awesome, or the Series X, which is releasing this fall. But one of the things that Microsoft has course corrected easily is the fact that they now have 15 plus studios, with an asterisk, by the way, and potentially more. For you personally, as someone invested in the brand, how important has this transition been, not only for the platform, but for you personally?
For them to be my number one driver, my daily machine that I'm on every day, it was huge, because there was that time where they only had a few studios, and now those studios made some great games. And when they were going out and buying some great second party stuff, and I could kind of live with that. But to a couple of mistakes, a couple of things didn't work out, and then all of a sudden, wow, we were just waiting for, didn't seem to have the and then that's right when, Sony started hitting their full stride of the PS4 era. and so-called banger after banger. And there might have been a chance that I wouldn't have given up on Xbox because they were still producing and had some studios that were making great games. I don't care what anybody says. I'll put Gears over anything Sony's ever made, period, bar none. But over God of War, I just think going all the way back to the original Gears of War, revolutionary in its simplicity and how special of a game that is. But they were lacking in the amount. They needed some studios. You can't just rely on going out and try to buy second party stuff. It made all the difference in the world. And when they bought a couple of great studios, they bought a couple studios with great potential that they've now, loaded up with the extra talent. And that's what's impressed me the most, the amount of talent they've added after buying these studios. It's not like they just bought these studios and said, hey, make us a hit game. You need to have it out by such and such. No, they said, what do you want to make? And what do you need to make it? And it's been a wonderful experience over the last 2 years. As
yes,
they bought
sir.
These studios and as they've all come on board and they're working on things and you get little tidbits here and there. And there's still stuff we don't know about. We're not going to hear about this Thursday that is out 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to know about that, to be quite honest. I want to know about that 2 years from now. But right now, I'm still, I don't want to be held to that 1 year out. I think they got to stretch that out a little bit. And I think they will. We're going to hear some things tomorrow, and we've already said this is games. There's not going to be, we're not getting no studio announcements, right? They're not going to, and I truly believe there's more than 15. I believe they've already bought 2 more. Okay, that was a done deal. They've been bought. We just don't.
We just don't know about it. Yeah, that's a great point.
Then the Warner Brothers deal through AT&T. Thank you, AT&T. You had no business in the gaming business anyway. Good riddance. Good riddance. All right. And I hope you get your full $4 billion and Microsoft pays it to you, because that would just be amazing for them to get, that much more talent. And I don't think Microsoft's actually going to do that because of the whole not getting the IPs, but I think they're going to work out some deals where they're going to come out of that looking really good. They're going to get some talent and they're going to get an IP or two.
Yeah, I think, again, folks, the difference with what Microsoft has been able to do as a whole, as just not just games, not just Xbox Game Pass, not just power. In past years, right, entire shows have leaked. The way that they're handling, let me just rewind that for a second. The way that they handled the Series X and Hellblade 2 reveal during the Game Awards was a master stroke of genius, right? That same passion, that same secrecy, that same business smarts has been reigning supreme for them. And they will let us know. They tell us when they want us to know. We don't know when they don't want us to know. And that's why this Thursday's show is even more exciting. Now, I'm not sure. We're going to talk about this more specifically on tomorrow's prediction show. But Clobreel actually put out a tweet suggesting that their show is so stacked that Halo Infinite, that 10-minute snippet of the game, that's gameplay from the actually inside of the game, is not going to be a part of that show. That's right. You heard it here first. It's supposedly going to show up on the Jeff Keighley pre-show. And again, there's supposed to be something happening for Halo on the post-show. Holy effing cow, are you serious? So just saying that out loud has me with goosebumps, but who knows? That could actually come true. But you know what I want to do? I had originally said this was going to be a 90-minute show, folks. We're going to go 2 hours, folks. Well, you got us for another 20 minutes, and the reason why that is because we have a fourth topic, and we're going to get to that literally right now. Now, look, to end the show, we're going to get into the temperature of both the chat and the Steam panel. And one of the last articles written by Phil Dominus Maximus, soon to be Aurelius Spencer, was titled, You are the future of Xbox. And reading that article multiple times gave me the inspiration to write this particular show. And in the message to all current Xbox gamers and potentially new ones, I felt like he was talking to me directly. I know that, I mean, that's a nerdy thing to say publicly, but that's how I felt. Now, the words are just that if they don't have true meaning to them. And speaking with heart and appreciation is something that Phil Spencer does very well. And it's easily understood that he means exactly what he says. Now, I did a bunch of bullet points. I'm not going to read directly from the article. I just want to read the bullet points of what Phil said in this ginormous article, putting us at the center of the Xbox brand moving forward. And these are just, this is directly from the Xbox Wire piece, which are in the show notes. So if you didn't read the article and you want an easy way to get to it, just go over to the show after it uploads to YouTube. It's there for you to download. And these are the bullet points. He says this: you will always be welcome. Your games will look and play best on the Series X. You play new games day one with Xbox Game Pass. You will not be forced into the next generation. I think he's talking about Sony. Your games will not be left behind thanks to backwards compatibility. Another kick to the balls to Sony. Your Xbox One gaming accessories come into the future with you as well. You can buy games once at no additional cost. You choose how to jump into the next generation of gaming. You are in control of a healthy and balanced gaming lifestyle. And finally, I think that's finally the point. Yes, you will get more from your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership than ever before. Now, what's very interesting and comforting is that not only did Phil Spencer say more about the future of the platform, the console, and the community in one article than Jim Ryan, or Jim Dancing Shoe Ryan, has said in the past 6 months. He made me feel like I personally matter to Xbox. And that is goosebump inducing. Now, this is powerful, and it makes me know that whatever whether you invest into the next generation, whether that be big or small, the community will always be welcomed and have the best ways to play our games, and will be able to do so on the most powerful console. Now, in closing, the future of Xbox is in fact extremely bright, and appears that with all of the ducks in order, Microsoft has positioned the platform to give both Nintendo and Sony a real run for its money. Now, this is for the panel. You've heard my opinion, the future of Xbox, and now I want to hear yours. And I want to start with Dreadpool on this one. Dreadpool, has Microsoft positioned the platform and the company, as well as its gaming community, on the quote-unquote right path moving forward?
Sorry about that. Most definitely. When we can take our games that we've been playing for how many years, and we can still play them now, that's awesome. You know, we're headed into another direction where we're able to play our games faster, better. We already mentioned before, no load times, playing it anywhere. So, I mean, we're going to be playing them on the TV, you know what I mean, without the Xbox. We're going to be playing them all over the place, and we get to keep them. We don't have to worry about trading them in now. I mean, if you want to, you can, if you have a physical. But it's still, you can pop it in and go. I mean, with that, I mean, think about it. You own what you own. You know, how many games I've got, big box PC games that I can't play anymore because I have to have a DOS machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to do something like that. So they're all packed away. I've got the Genesis games sitting there right next to me also. But because the console's not out, I'm not playing them. You know, I don't have to take out the games that I want to play when I want to go retro. I can play them anytime I want. Well, yeah. Ones that are BC, okay? So I can play those anytime I want because we already know that, to my disappointment, Kinect did not go BC also. So my loss, everybody else's gain, you know. But in retro, you know, when you think about it, you don't have to get off the couch. You can just pop in the game and go. You know what I mean? You're sitting there and you're like, you know what? Especially people like me that have gaming ADD, we'll pop in a game and then we'll change our mind, you know, as it's loading. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like playing this.
I'm laughing because I've done that. That's why.
I mean, well, I spent a week with my 1X just trying to figure out what I want to do because I was just so amazed at the graphics that I was able to achieve just by, you know what I mean? From going from an OG to an X. And it's like, holy cow. You know what I mean? It's just the graphics and the details and everything. And yet again, like, you know, all your games are coming forward. Guess what? All that American Godzilla technology that's going to be there is going to help those games look better, play better, faster. Didn't we talk about a couple weeks ago, well, probably a month ago now or two, how Gears 5 unaltered, straight up at 100 frames per second.
Yeah.
Unaltered, just straight up, you know. So when you have something like that, you know, and we're even looking at Fusion Frenzy. I mean, look how pathetic that game looked from back then. Back then, we didn't know any better. You know, that was the best. You know, that was some of the best stuff that we had. But now you look at it, you're like, holy cow, with the HDR just integrated into the console. So all these games are just going to keep going. And guess what? When we're done with this 10 year of this lifespan of this console, or the refresh, if it ever, you know, when it does come in, I'm going to assume that there's going to be a refresh within 4 to 5 years.
I'd say 5, but then again, we could see longer. They really future-proof this console. I mean, it really is powerful.
But all that's going to keep moving too.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about that.
That's all going to keep moving. We're going to have 8K and 16K TVs. You know, you can buy an 8K TV right now if you wanted to. So we're headed in that direction. So when you lay the path right, that you have less work to do in the future, that's the best way. You know what I mean? It's like when you map out a direction, when you're going to go to another state to see a monument or something, or visit family, you map it out, you know. But yes, now most people use GPS and Google and all that. But for those of us that used to open up a map, you sit there and you do all that. And some of us, even though you rely on the maps on your apps on the phones, you still have to know what you're doing, where you're going. Look at how many people followed and ended up in the middle of a desert because they followed a road that the GPS told them. You know, it's the same thing. If you don't have the proper lanes set up for that movement forward, you're going to get lost somewhere. There's the wrong turn somewhere. And I don't think that I think that they've been able to future-proof it and also guide the next lane over as to where they're going. Okay, we're going to make this right-hand turn here because we want to.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, this Red Pool.
So on top of that, we have 546 people watching. I think we should have a little bit more likes than that. So don't forget the likes or even a dislike if there's a problem. But let's know what the problem is. You know, just don't come in, dislike, and then walk away. Let's feedback, people. Feedback.
Yes, you know what? That's a great point. Yeah, our folks. If you again, we're closing on. We were close to closing in on 600, and that's ridiculous. I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am. But let's keep this moving. Let's keep this party going. Clowns, let's bring you back to the conversation. You know, you've heard my opinion. You've heard Dreadpool's opinion. You've seen the opinion of people in the chat. The future is bright for Xbox. There's a lot to be excited about. You know, how do you feel? How confident for you, as someone that has seen the rise and fall of the Xbox brand, now potentially rising again? Are you satisfied with where this platform is headed for the future?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I mean, I think that Phil has got all the right services now, all developed and all adhered to, and I think that, you know, like Dreadpool alluded to, that the lanes are going in the proper direction, and Xbox is there. They create the proper intersection because now everybody else is going to want to copy Xbox for what Xbox has done.
Yep.
And the future of Xbox is going to be extremely bright because it's no longer just limited to one piece of hardware. I mean, Xbox is a huge ecosystem, and it's an ecosystem that you can drop in at any point that you want, whether you're a PC gamer, whether you're a phone gamer, whether you're a console gamer. It's going to have the best hardware for a console. It's going to be the best price point for a console, and the hardware in that console is going to be better than most PCs out there that you can buy for the same price. I mean, it's not even comparable. You're gonna have to get like a $2,000, $3,000 PC and even still build some of it yourself just to get what the Xbox Series X is going to be able to do for a console. So I think that, you know, Xbox had a plan. They pushed that plan under Phil Spencer, and I think that Phil Spencer should be admired. I mean, he gets a lot of crap on Twitter, and he gets a lot of crap from different publications in the press. But I think that, to be honest with you, as a gamer, I think that man is a genius. Not only is he a genius, he's a nice guy. And people need to stop crapping on everything that he does, because he thinks forward. He doesn't think backwards, you know, like these other companies do, where they have a thought, they don't develop it, then they move forward, then they go back to the original thought. Phil's a guy that when people at Xbox and engineers have a thought, he's like, okay, let's see where it goes. You know, make it happen, and we see where it goes. And they make it happen, and if it's good, you know, they publish it or they develop it further. If it's not good, then they, just like Google, they would get rid of it. But Phil is the guy that gives everything a chance, and he listens to his fans. And a lot of this stuff, you know, even with games in Game Pass and a lot of backwards compatible games, the ideas came from fans. He listened to fans. I mean, there's even a Reddit thread right now that you can give suggestions to Xbox so they can develop something for the future. Tell me how many other companies will do this, and how many other companies where they have executives that actually talk to you on Twitter that are polite and nice and friendly.
None of them, dude. None
of them. No. And I see Xbox is everything. They got the engineers, they got the hardware agreements, they got the nicest executives out there, they got the best customer service. If you ask me, I think their customer service is fantastic. And other companies, they want to copy the idea of Xbox, and when they do, they get more praise than Xbox does. But again, to reiterate, I think the future is very bright for the Xbox brand. I do think Phil's a genius. I think they have excellent engineers over there, and they give everybody's voice a chance. Like, everybody has a voice over there, and they make it happen. And if it doesn't work, they just get rid of it. So Xbox is a place to be for me. It's the ecosystem I want to be locked into. And I'm very happy with the services that I get for my money out of the Xbox, and everything that the show's alluded to previously as well, like price points for Game Pass. It's just fantastic, man. You can't beat the deal that Xbox is giving you as a consumer. Nowhere else.
Yeah, and great points once again. And, VJ, why don't we bring you back into the conversation? And this time I'm going to ask you to wear both hats, one backwards and one forward, when you talk about retail versus development. You know, everything that's been said so far about Xbox proves that they seem to be more forward thinking than Sony. It seems, and I've said this before, and I'm not trying to be facetious in any way, they might have caught Sony with their pants down moving into the generation. Now, some people can equate that to them, Sony being cocky, being overly confident, figuring as much that the Sony brand is just a brand and you're going to buy it and we don't care what you think, F you. I don't know. I can't say for sure because I'm not Jim Dancing Shoes Ryan, but I can say that we know what Phil says because he's doing interviews like I'm getting up in the morning and brushing my teeth. And that is really exciting. And like Clown said, their executives are out there. They're talking to the fans. They're letting you know what to expect. They're telling you, we hear you, and we are going to bring it for you. How bright is the future of the platform?
I think that Sony aside, because they're kind of keeping their cards close to their chest, and that's fine. But, focusing on Phil and Xbox, I think for me, just with my business hat on, results speak for themselves. And with that said, Thursday is going to basically showcase Phil's vision, right, for Xbox in its entirety. But given everything that I've seen so far, I have no reason to doubt that he's the right man for the job. But Phil actually has two communities that he has to continually show that he's on the right path. You've got the Xbox community and you've got the investment community. So the investment community, let's get that out of the way because that's pretty straightforward, right? Confidence comes with results. And as long as he delivers, he'll be afforded the time, the resources to build into the future. And as Clown says, this guy is pretty forward thinking, but I think that's come out of, what happened this gen, right? That's come out of the real issues that they face, and that's a good thing, right? So, out of adversity, so to speak. Then you've got the Xbox community, right? Which we kind of like that category that we fall in, that he needs to show that, he is the man to lead us down the path, and he knows the path, right? So far as a consumer, I don't have any complaints, right, towards the utopia and especially the value proposition that Phil's presenting, right? And to be honest, he's wholeheartedly representing that, right? Whether it's with cutting edge hardware, backwards compatibility, investment in studios, developing AAA games, making games financially accessible to everybody via Game Pass is, I don't know how critical it was to him in the beginning, but it's turning out to be pretty major, right, for a lot of people, especially in these times. And he's promising to deliver AAA games consistently, right? And then you add xCloud, and he's working towards making AAA gaming available on the go. But then there's one other factor, and that comes down to, for me, is the community itself, which has to also be responsible to keeping Xbox on the path. So, in fact, if you look at it, us as the consumers and as the community, we are Xbox's biggest investor and customer base rolled into one. And I think that is fundamentally what Phil has realized, and that is why he has come out, not just himself, but dragged his team out as well, and say, look, face the community, face it now. It's adverse times, but we've got to take it, but we are confident, totally confident in what we're doing and what we're going to do, and I think that all of that will be encapsulated come Thursday.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point. I like the way you broke it down in bullet points, and it basically said that it's all going to come to a head this Thursday. And I think you're right. And I think we're all going to be talking about what happens on Thursday in a positive manner for weeks on end, to the point where people are going to be, listen, can you talk about something else? Yes, Microsoft has games now. We're tired of it. That's how big of a show I believe it's going to be. And Mojo Blues, why don't you close out today's epic show that I had no idea would see nearly 600 people show up? And I got to tell you, everyone on this panel killed it. Why don't you finish it off with a huge finisher, in your opinion, and for someone that proudly supports multiple consoles? You are invested in Microsoft, and it appears, based on everything we talked about on this show, Microsoft is invested in Microsoft for the future of the Xbox platform. How confident are you going into Thursday, but more so beyond?
Well, they're invested in me. I've got close to 700 games.
Yes, awesome.
And you know what? I only paid for a handful of them. They gave me a lot. Okay, they invested in me. I play their games, and I can't stress enough the diversity. I love the fact that from the smallest games to bigger, we're getting it all. We're not just getting one kind of game, twice a year. They're going to be dropping the regular double A's, triple A's, single A's, double A's throughout the year, and we're getting everything. And the great thing about it is they're not trying to kill EA or Sony or whoever. They're fine with those companies putting out good games too. They're just reached a point in confidence where they know they've got great games. And just them knowing that. Now I know it, everybody knows it, and it just makes it so much easier to hey, that $15 a month's worth every penny.
Yeah.
These great games, and they're going to be they're going to play better because of the hardware they've invested in. They've got this great system. And it's just going to get better throughout this whole next generation. You're looking at a 10-year generation coming up, And I don't know about that mid-gen for the Xbox. We may not get that.
I don't think they're going to, simply because of how forward-thinking they were with the design of this console.
Exactly. They're not going to have to. They've got enough software stuff that'll keep their system on par with anybody else's who might have to come out with a whole new console to get theirs up to where Xbox is, because it's just a great system. And with the amount of studios, I truly believe that sometime within the next year that they'll have over 20 plus studios pumping out games. And from, like I said, the highest AAA, quadruple A, whatever you want to call them, levels, down to some, simple indie single A games that teams of 2 and 3 people made. At their lowest point, they still managed to give us that year Cuphead and the shooter 1v whatever.
I don't know.
The big one.
Halo?
No, the give me a second on that and I'll come right back to it.
Okay.
That year they still managed to give us some great stuff when they're at their lowest point.
Yeah, that's true.
Since then, big game after big game. They did right. They kept everything moving along, and now it's paying off in just huge dividends with this show that's coming up. We're going to see things. It's all games, and I hope they did move that Halo. I don't want to see. I'm not a gameplay guy. I don't want to watch somebody play 15 minutes.
Well, I don't think it'd be 15 minutes, but I think we, as a community, that more so as a brand, Halo is Microsoft. Microsoft is Halo. Xbox is Master Chief, and we need to see at least 8 to 10 minutes of actual gameplay, which, by the way, is a huge chunk. But if you remember, Sony pulled that off with Ghost of Tsushima, and it worked out very well. They showed 18 minutes. Now, I don't think we should see 18 minutes of anything at this point, but a good 10-minute block of seeing Master Chief do a mission, an early on mission, would be great for the naysayers who say that the May 15th show was a failure because of gameplay, which I think was false, but that's just my opinion. But you know what? Listen, Mojo, once again, dude, having you on today's show was a big deal for me. I love working with you. We have had you on the show before, and of course, you bring the knowledge of a game. That with you in tow. We definitely appreciate that. So listen, we've already crossed the 2-hour mark, and I just want to get some of these super chats and we'll get everyone out of here. First of all, SP drops a very generous $10 super chat and says this: "What's going on, fellas? Hope all is well and safe. Quick heads up and to stir the pot. And yes, sir, stir and stir again." He says Xbox has a WB game sale from now to the 27th in the Xbox store. Phil is at it again. Yes, we mentioned it earlier, and I believe there's something to it. And Pixel Bit G, a very good friend, but more importantly, a very generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, "Permissions to keep going, Spartans, Lord Hood." Yes, keep going indeed. JD Gamer shows his generosity once again with another super chat for $5. Says WB Studios isn't worth $4 billion, but WB Studios with a 10-year exclusive IP license is worth that and more. So the real question is not if, but when. Yeah, listen, I honestly, JD, I think that deal is done. The ink is dried, and they're just working out the schematics on how to get them involved. He drops another $5 super chat and says, "So as the WB deal closes, imagine if Microsoft just pays for a permanent exclusive IP's license and now owns the Batman game license. What would you guys do?" I think most people would lose their shit, because I've said this before. Sony has the Spider-Man license on lock from Marvel. Insomniac is going to be making that game until the cows come home, and it would be pretty epic for Microsoft as a platform to not only bring Batman to that platform, but to bring it by Rocksteady and have them come out with a game every 3 to 4 years. It would be unbelievable. And Pixel Bit G shows his generosity once again with another $5 super chat and says, "Just remember, for all the hate from 2013, Xbox was forward thinking. Now the market is darn near mostly digital. Go figure. Yeah, they were extremely ahead of the curve for sure. But listen, folks, I want to say this as we close out this 2-hour epic show that I had no idea how it was going to go. We had almost 600 people, and that is a big deal. More importantly, I have to say a big thank you to the super chats that came in an absolute abundance. I am humbled beyond words, and I cannot thank you enough. But I also want to give a shout out to 4 people that keep this chat running in a way, in a professional manner. And of course, we have to start off with the sheriff himself, Lethal Papa, who is not just the moderator of my shows, on multiple shows, more specifically RDX with Dealer. I trust him like family, and if he bans somebody, he has full authority to do so, simply because I trust him that strongly. And he doesn't do anything to be vindictive. He does things to keep this chat safe and away from the ugly outside world. But there are a couple of also people here. We have UK Dazarus, who's come back in a big way. He's recovering from a stroke, folks. So send some love to UK Dazarus. He's still gaming. He says he's the Graphic God Part 2, as a matter of fact. And yes, he does have that controller, and he has been playing the shit out of racing games, even while one hand is recovering. Our very good friend of the show, who just started a podcast that I think everyone should sub his channel. The Indie Gamer is here, and he's here almost every week. Thank you for policing these streets. And a new one that I've added recently, simply because he handles himself in a proper manner. Dragon Wolf has been patrolling the streets, making sure that we keep the trolls away. So a big shout out to those, and whoever else I've recently made a moderator. But let's get to the outros and get everybody out of here, so you can continue your Tuesday. Actually, I just want to go to sleep and wake up, and hopefully it's Thursday. But we'll start with Clowns. Clowns, my brother, listen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on this show. Missed you last night, but understood that family comes first. You know how I feel about that. I'm a family first podcast, but to have you today on this show was a big deal for me because of the passion that you bring and the voice along with that passion. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out 4 Guys with Quarters, but more importantly, talk to you on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. I appreciate it. 4 Guys with Quarters every Monday when family's not here. We do it usually about 5 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, you'd hear shoes and pans and stuff go flying. But no calzones, unfortunately. Other than that,
my calzones, I make good ones, man. I gotta make them and ship.
I need to come. Yeah, I need, when this whole pandemic's over, Boom, I need to stop by and try one of those. Yeah, but social media, it's at Italian Clowns, pretty much on everything. Subtrovo, it's Clowns. I've been trying to stream more on Facebook and Twitch. I mean, I'm not no ninja out there, but I try to have fun and bring in my party chat to the streams, and it's just a good time. And I always appreciate being here, Boom. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Super appreciated. Next but not least, in any way, Dreadpool. You know him as Superman. He's saved me more times than I can count on my hands and toes. And he brings a gaming wealth of knowledge. And it's really great to have you a part. Dreadpool, do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media. And also check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the chat for everybody showing up. I'd also like to thank VJ and Mojo and Italian Clowns. Obviously, you, Boom, for having me on here and sharing all of our opinions with everybody and our insights. Also, just so you guys know, when you guys watch Italian Clowns on Facebook, he is a pirate legend.
Yes, so he is.
You need to watch that. You need to watch his tricks. Watch how he does. I mean, you got to do that. You don't just watch him to play. You watch him to learn, man. And he will help you out and teach you some stuff. So this is what we do. We all help each other out. We all help and expand and grow everything. So don't think that everybody's just trying to be greedy. Okay. So that being said, my DMs are always open. If you want to talk, I'll always listen. I may not know what to say, but at least there'll be an ear there for you, okay? So in order to find that DM, you got to find me on Twitter at Dreadpool, and the O's are actually zeros. My YouTube is Dreadpool, Gamertag is Dreadpool, even Stadia is Dreadpool, and for the next, day? Mixer is Dreadpool.
Nice. I love it.
Yes, thank you all for showing up, and definitely hit those like buttons. I mean, we got plenty of people, and like I said before, if there's something you don't like, you got to share it with the podcasters. You got to share it with them so that way they know what that you don't like. What is it, so that way they can, assess the situation, right? And if there is something you like, yet again, let them know so that way they can assess the situation. They can give you more of what you like and maybe a little bit less of what you don't like.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. Obviously, be fair, be politically correct. Don't be mean,
courteous,
and be courteous. Yeah, there you go. There's the word I was looking for. Be courteous. Thank you for that, Dreadpool. Next up, BJ. I got to tell you, dude, this is your second podcast, and you knocked it out of the park once again. I think that you're going to be coming to these shows more often than not because I enjoy your properness, but more importantly, what you bring to the table. 25 years of experience in both retail and development. And I think that is something to be marveled. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on Twitter. Give you a follow there. And if they want to talk games, they could reach out to you.
Boom, I just want to say thank you so much for having me back on again. It's been a fantastic pleasure. And Mojo, I really hope you feel better soon. And I'm really sorry to hear about what you're going through. But I think if everybody can put a prayer in for you, I think you'll be fighting fit in no time. Dreadpool Clowns, you guys make me laugh when I just have my button on mute and then I'm just smiling away. And everyone in the chat, you can find me at Viewpoint Gaming, and you can give me a follow, or you can ask me anything you like, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thanks again, Boom.
Oh, dude, it's a pleasure, man. And like I said, it won't be the last invite, that is for certain. And last but not least, Mojo, who I honestly got to give him massive credit. Not only did he stay for the 2-hour show, folks, he just got out of the hospital last week, and he's dealing with some serious things. So obviously send prayers and lots of love to him on Twitter. Let him know that you care. And the fact that he was here to talk his gaming knowledge in tow was a big deal for me personally. Mojo, do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out the podcasts that you are a part of.
Mojo_Blues1 on Twitter. I'm pretty much on there way too much, but somebody's got to kind of troll the streets, keep the Xbox name in good faith. I'm on Mads Gaming's Next Gen podcast, featuring Jamie Moran. We have a wonderful show. We've just added the Wandering Dutch.
Yeah,
we're gonna be streaming Thursday all day. We'll be around if you find our show as you're flipping through stuff. Everybody's going to be on, so it's one of those things,
There's a lot of content though, and that's good because even if you don't catch it live, Mojo, people could listen on the replay, and it's just as important.
Yeah, we do real well, our once a week show. We've had a real good. It's the most international show of anyone that's on. Me being in Tennessee, here to Knoxville, and you got Mads in Poland.
Yep.
You got Jamie Moran and just outside of London, and I think Dutch is also in England somewhere.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's a wonderful international flavor, and we don't get too technical, except for Mads. It's his show, and we're pushing next gen stuff. That's what we cover. And the second these things drop, we're going to be looking at the PS6 and the Xbox, whatever that's going to be. That's what we do, it's an excellent show. I recommend everyone to come check us out.
Well, thanks so much for that, dude. And obviously, yes, I think people should check out your show weekly with Jamie Moran, now the Wandering Dutch, and of course, Mads Gaming, which, by the way, is a super genius secretly. That guy knows his tech, and I would put his knowledge right up there with the Dealer Gaming, the Colt Eastwoods, and even D-Batch. That's how confident I am with Mads Gaming. And I think you should over there and sub his channel, check out their weekly show. And folks, listen, with that said, this is a podcast 2 of 5. And like I said, tune into my Twitter account. Find me on Twitter on Thursday morning, because I'm going to drop a news bomb that's going to surprise it. Folks, I had to pinch myself several times because my show is so small, and the fact that I have the ability to make an announcement this big, besides humbling me, makes me very happy to know that I'm making much bigger strides in the industry than the under 5,000 subs that I have been able to acquire. And I'll say this: if you enjoy this show and you're new, I say welcome with open arms. We accept everybody here, and so please sub the channel. Please throw a like in before you get on out of here, because it does help the channel in the YouTube algorithm. And we will see you tomorrow at noon for the Xbox special edition of the Xbox Factor podcast that's going to be breaking down our predictions for Thursday's big event. And I just want to say once again, thank you to everyone that came out. It's honestly amazing that you show me this much love and support, and it's truly I'm truly grateful for that. But everyone, have a great day. Enjoy. Yes, sir. Anybody wants to say something? Yes.
It was earlier. I'd forgotten that game. It was PUBG, by the way, that came out that year. They were lacking in games, and that came out late in the year for them, and just kind of really helped save the year. I mean, and I don't know how many hours people just dumped into that, and thanks to Xbox.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what shooter you said, but I'm glad you were able to remember PUBG, and they did make a lot of money on that game. But everyone, listen, be safe, stay hydrated, because it's hot as hell, especially here in New York, and I'm sure wherever you are, it's just as hot. And of course, you're living in where you still have snow. If you're living in Antarctica, good on you, because I'd like to be there right now. But everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to close out the show with something that's been important to me my entire life. Hopefully, it will be important to you. My dad used to tell me this: treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon.